We also have Ron Bandies here, who's the president of Vote Allegheny. Vote Allegheny works to make sure that the citizens of Allegheny County can participate in safe, reliable, accessible, recountable, voter verifiable elections. And when we heard Congressman Doyle mention earlier that there's no evidence that any votes were lost or deleted, and no evidence around the big lie, is a part of the reason why we know that didn't happen is because of the work that Vote Allegheny has done over the years. But Ron Bandies, for a moment, could you talk from the point of view of someone who's been working on safe, reliable, and accessible voting for a long time? What would you expect to be the effects of some of these proposals on the voter ID side, for example, but also on pre-canvassing, same-day registration side?
Okay, actually, I've got some other things I wanted to talk about here, so I don't really have prepared remarks for your question, but certainly the answer is not going to be any different in Allegheny County than in the other 66 counties of Pennsylvania. So I did want to mention that Vote Allegheny was instrumental in helping Allegheny County in 2019 to choose hand-marked paper ballot system for our citizens. I personally worked with most of the members of county council, including Republicans, on that issue. And I'll come back to that. There are 3 milestones for election integrity in Allegheny County I wanted to hit on. One, risk limiting audits. In compliance with the agreement resulting from a lawsuit brought against Pennsylvania by the 2016 Jill Stein campaign, Pennsylvania has run pilots of risk limiting audits in the last 2 years. Not all counties participated in these pilots, but Allegheny County did. And so that's a very good thing. Risk limiting audits are the gold standard for post-election tabulation audits. I don't have time to go into the details of what makes it different, but it really is a huge improvement over the existing Pennsylvania law for audits. Number 2, the choice of voting system selected in 2019, not all counties in Pennsylvania did choose hand-marked paper ballot systems. Some chose very expensive systems with paper records, not paper ballots. With a paper record system, voters make choices on a touch screen, different from the touchscreens we were used to in previous years, in that these systems print out the voters' choices on a paper ballot card, which then goes into the same scanner that the voters who are hand marking their ballots feed their ballots into. So there is a paper record in both cases with your hand marking or getting assistance from a machine to mark your ballots. A hand-marked ballot, though, is inherently voter verified. You made those marks. Those are your choices. With a paper record system, in order to verify correctness, voters must examine the ballot card to ensure fidelity to the voter's wishes. And most voters, we know from studies, do not do this. Worse, with some of these systems, which are somewhat common in the eastern part of the state, the voters can examine the text of their choices on the ballot. They see the names of the candidates they chose. They can verify that those are correct, but the scanner is not going to read the text. It's going to read barcodes representing the choices, and the voters cannot verify that. So in Allegheny County, we got a great system for voters who hand mark their ballots, as they are inherently voter verified. But for voters who need assistance of a machine, even here in Allegheny County, people with certain disabilities or just people whose vision is going or have tremors, whatever, voters who need assistance, we could have chosen a system that would have provided for improved both verifiability and voter ballot secrecy, which is somewhat compromised in the current system. And lastly, I wanted to mention there is a credible lawsuit being brought against Allegheny County regarding transparency around the issue of barcodes appearing to be personally identifiable being printed on many of the absentee and mail-in ballots in the election of November 2020. such barcodes would not endanger the count of the votes. So we're not talking about getting a wrong result from the election, but it would compromise the secrecy of the ballot for the voters who used such ballots. And this would be contrary to the requirements of the Pennsylvania Constitution.
Could I ask, in a case, imagine that there is somebody who is running for office who comes out and claims that the whole election is fraudulent and it's been stolen from him. Imagine such a person existed. Is there a significant difference between the ballot system we're using now and what we had 3 years ago?
Oh my, yes. So even in counties that chose paper records instead of paper ballots, that is a huge improvement. At least there is a tangible physical record of the voters' choices, as opposed to the touchscreen machines we had before. In Allegheny County, we used the iVotronic touchscreen voting machines, which fell into a category called direct recording electronic. Your votes were recorded directly into electronic memory where you can't examine it. You could ask the computer to tell you what's in its memory, but right, a computer program is choosing what to display on the screen. It may not be faithful to what's stored in memory. So this is a huge improvement over the direct recording electronic systems we had in the past, which was really faith-based voting. You had to have faith that the voting system was going to accurately report your votes, and there was no meaningful audit that could be done with those old systems. Now, all 67 counties have a much improved system, and most counties have hand-marked paper ballots, which is even a step greater because of its inherent voter verifiability.
Thank you.